So, for anyone who might be sort of unaware of what this project is, because for me, I have a very structured day. It might look chaotic to anyone else, but I have a system that I follow. I don't deviate from the system. So for me, I don't really need to, plan out, oh, there's a meeting here, there's a thing happening here. I structure everything in a way where I'm going to do the same thing every week, that same day, every time. But for someone who maybe has a more hectic day or really wants to keep track of what they're doing, they want to make sure they are, you know, not wasting time on things. What does this project actually do? Like, what makes it interesting?
Yeah, yeah. There are two sides to it, like two main features, or at least that's how it started out. The one part is the to-do thing, the writing down of what you're gonna do, so you don't lose track of it. And the other part is a time tracking part,
Mm.
which turned out also to be quite a good productivity tool in itself, because uh, at least for me, like when I thought about time tracking, it's more like a cumbersome thing. Yeah, I'd rather avoided it, but it turns out like that the act of starting a timer before you work does something to your brain,
Mm.
and like especially in programming, yeah, for some reason, at least for me, and apparently also for other people, this works. It helps you to stay on one to zoom in on one task,
Mm. Mm.
and this is often important in program, maybe also like in knowledge work. Um, Also, especially maybe if you have something which is a little bit harder to do, and yeah, I found this helps me, and is a good tool. Um, yeah, and
I guess.
another
Oh,
thing which
well,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I guess with that's gonna happen a lot. What I was gonna say is, a lot of people find it very easy to get distracted, and I guess if you have you have access to social media, you can go watch YouTube videos. So having a timer there, when you're in school, for example, you have this is the class time, this is like the dedicated time, there's someone watching you doing the work. But when especially if you're doing your own thing, like you're doing contract work, you're not in an office, I could very easily see, and I do tend to get distracted myself, people either bouncing around between tasks or just not really being able to focus without having some sort of structured environment around them. And having a timer there is sort of a artificial but still a structure that you can sort of lock yourself into for that task.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it, I think. Um, and it's also like this way of working. It also is like it's a good reflection tool because like you recognize when you're switching task, when you're ending at a completely different task, when you're working on something, and um, yeah, for the most part, I think we touched it briefly like before we started recording. Like it's productivity is a very individual thing.
Mm.
Everyone has different preferences, and also like what works for one is also changes over time, and it changes with the circumstances. Um, so like maybe also part of the reason why the tool stuck so much with me is that there was always something new to try out for me personally, what
Mm.
works, what maybe doesn't work, and yeah, and I think it is really a good tool, like for this experimentation kind of
Mm.
stuff. Yeah,
I think you can sort of get yourself into a. You can sort of trick yourself into being productive when you start testing out a lot of these productivity tools, where rather than actually, trying to accomplish the task, and it's sort of a problem with customizing your Linux desktop as well, where you are customizing it, you are trying to find the perfect thing for you, and you end up never actually doing the initial task that you had intended to do.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know that pretty well. I like many years ago, I wrote my master's thesis, and I was really not motivated to do it, and I obsessed about other stuff, but not really the stuff I was supposed to do.
Right.
And so I'm not the biggest fan like of this hustle culture that people want to get always the most out of themselves.
Mm.
I also think like it's also not always the best way to go about productivity because like working long over hours and pushing yourself very hard, that might work for a time, but it's it usually doesn't in the long run.
Mhm.
There may be few exceptions, like I don't know, like top managers or politicians which work a lot, and keep doing that. But many other people, also friends of mine, they tend to burn themselves out.
Mhm.
So for me, like the name, I'm not so happy with it actually, to be honest. Like because super productivity sounds really like hustle culture,
Mm.
but what I'm trying this tone I'm trying to strike with the app is also like more one of bit more self-compassion,
Mm.
which is also like a very very good productivity tool, surprisingly. Um, uh, because like usually procrastination also has to do with pushing yourself maybe too hard
Mm.
often. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely hit on something important there, where a lot of people, you, if you don't give yourself a break, you're eventually going to if you don't give yourself a break, you're eventually going to break, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like even the highest of high performers, they might take very small breaks. They might have some crazy life you don't understand, but they have a system that works for them. And I think ultimately that's what you need to find. You need to find what is going to work for you. How do I best handle the time I have? How do I achieve the things that I want to achieve? It may not be the most extravagant of extravagant goals. It might just be, hey, I want to sit down and, I don't know, make sure I language study every day, right? Something like that. You want to, I don't know, you want to learn French. I don't know, pick a language. And it's not the craziest goal, but it's something where you are saying that I am going to do this and I'm going to make sure that I find a way to make it happen.
Yeah. Mm.
I think a lot of people really struggle with sort of, I guess, planning out. Again, goes back to what I was saying, right? A lot of people really struggle to get themselves to actually motivated to do something without having something there that is pushing them to do it.
Yeah. I mean, like no productivity tool in the world will give you will give you motivation to do something you don't want to do or you have like strong resistance to,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes there are good reasons for that. I
Sure.
think maybe I don't know. You should clean your room once in a while, and that's something to get over. But yeah, there might be tasks which or like a work culture for you personally which not is not really worth it.
Mm.
um yeah, for example, like the app has like a break timer. This is one thing that tries to help us that, because like as you mentioned, like breaks are quite important. And there's also like you have a daily summary part which
Mm.
you don't have to use, but also like a little bit of reflection at the end of the day is, I
Mm.
think, usually a good thing, not only for productivity in itself, but also for maybe life satisfaction if you want. Like
Mm. Mm.
to, for example, I often ran into the phenomenon that I work quite a lot over the day, but for example, like I just check GitHub issues and work one after the other, one after the other, and one after the other. And at the end of the day, I did quite a lot of stuff, but I didn't really remember what I did. And it often feels very doesn't feel so good at the end of the day. So it's for me personally at least, it feels better to be more conscious about what I want to do over the day, and which doesn't mean there isn't room for deviation from that, but so in order not to get lost like by what you feel is like from outside pressures, so to say.